Well, a telegrapher reached out, I think, on Instagram some years ago, and told me about kind of their ideas for speakers and stuff like that, and if I was interested. And I was like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, they said, well, we haven't had any built yet, but we're a new company, and I thought that was really cool. So I was like, yeah, just keep me posted, and let me know. So I looped him in with one of my studio engineers at the time, and it was a couple years later. Then they were doing some R&D and all that stuff, and they knocked out the first pair of Gorillas, and sent me like one of the first pairs and said, well, let me get your thoughts on this. And I was like, oh, great. So we set them up here, and they were awesome. I was really impressed with them. I just loved the clarity and the stereo image that I was able to attain. Mostly spatialization stuff when I just wasn't super sure, because I do have these other mains that I use, but they're just overpowering sometimes, and you don't really get a good sense of spatialization. So I tend to A/B a lot of that with the old NS10s that I use. But then since we put the Gorillas in, I was like, wow, these are like NS10s, but they're actually good. It was really good, focused sound, and it wasn't too abrasive in the highs. So it's been really great using them as, just kind of my B-RAVs or my imaging RAVs, or if I'm in a smaller room, like this room in particular is just absolutely enormous for a control room, because it has all my gear in it and stuff, so it's not really an ideal setup for mastering. I would want a room at least half this size, and that's where those would really shine. So as a matter of fact, that's something I'm working on now, is getting a B room in. It's basically designed around telegraphers audio technology with their speakers and stuff. So I'm doing a much smaller, more controlled room, just for more fine tuning of the sound, versus kind of just having wall-to-wall synths everywhere, reflecting stuff all over the place. And today we just received the Elephant. So the Elephant in conjunction with the Gorillas is like, now I'm like, well, if you buy the Gorillas, you have to buy the Elephant. Or if you buy the Foxes, you have to buy the Elephant. The Elephant just has to come, because the low frequency compensation that it's making up for in that center channel is just, helps put all the track kind of in one scope, so you can listen to the whole track, hear the spatialization and the nice focus mids and highs out of the Foxes or the Gorillas, and then still get that low frequency hum for those 80 hertz bass hums and stuff like that would otherwise just totally disappear on the Gorillas, or especially the Foxes too. So, well, two things I also really enjoy about the Foxes and the Gorillas and the Elephants is that first of all, they're active, so that's great. No amps laying around, or needed. And the other thing too is that the crossover and the input tech it's all analog, so there's no DAC, there's no weird conversion on the inside from your original input signal. It's just pure analog, so that's a lovely thing. And they're beautifully built. They're nice and heavy, so they don't, kind of rattle around or fall apart. And I don't think anything in there is going to be shaken loose anytime soon. I'm super pleased with kind of their whole setup and line of products that can accommodate the all-in-one, use them as mains kind of thing. So it really wouldn't be a far stretch to just have a studio with no A monitors, but just have two Gorillas and an Elephant. Yeah.